His name is Tim Groser, and he joins us by video link now. Tim, nice to see you. Welcome to the platform.
Good morning.
All right. What we're talking about is the 15% tariff imposed on New Zealand goods on what was called, I think, Freedom Day or Liberty Day by President Trump. A 15% tariff across the board on New Zealand goods. First up, in the global context, have we done better, worse, or about the same as other countries?
We've done exactly the same as other countries that were running a surplus with the United States. The only countries that have got a lower rate than us, which includes Australia, were countries that were running deficits with one exception. Were running deficits with the United States. In other words, the United States was selling more to Australia than Australia was selling to the United States. The one exception is the UK, which got in very quickly, first mover advantage, and got 10%. But we've been hit because of this absurd notion that the bilateral surplus or deficit is the definition of whether your country has got fair or unfair trading policies.
All right, so this is an overarching policy of the Yanks under Trump, and that is we've got to have balanced trade, and tariffs are supposedly now a tool to achieve balanced trade. Is that right?
That's one of the tools, but he's also using a 50% tariff on Brazil to stop the trial of Bolsonaro, the former president. So, I mean, he's using tariffs to do whatever he feels like doing on a particular day when he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed.
Okay, which is a departure from the conventions that a small country like New Zealand has been promoting. And God, I go back, I think of Mike Moore. We've been really invested, haven't we, in the idea of a different kind of fair trade.
We absolutely had to. I mean, one thing that John Key used to say all the time that's never left my mind is we ain't going to get richer by selling to ourselves. The export economy is absolutely central to New Zealand, and it's a remarkably joined up concept. For example, just ask yourself this question, I'll tell you the answer. What's the largest source of manufacturing employment in this country? It's meat processing, which employs 25,000 manual workers in 60 different locations, absolutely crucial to the provincial, to the Māori economy. And so there's this interconnection. It's not just, the bloody farmers. It's about the entire country. And this is a massive shift, Sean, a massive shift that he's engineered.
All right. There has also been the suggestion, and I got a very cryptic response from Winston Peters yesterday, when I asked whether or not he thought we could have done better if Chris Luxon hadn't gone through his filofax and started ringing everyone about the tariffs and saying, well, maybe we can have our own strong trade alliances, etc. Is there any suggestion or evidence to suggest we were in fact punished because of Luxon's actions?
None whatsoever. The notion is ridiculous. The other debate points to exactly the opposite criticism, that my successor as Trade Minister, Todd McClay, should have gone up there and done more, but actually would have made a blind bit of difference. This was never a negotiation, Sean. This was holding a gun to people's heads.
All right. Didn't we have some cards to play, though? They want us as part of AUKUS, as these pillars or whatever. Why couldn't we say to the States, well, you want us to be our friends, you want us to join an alliance with you, maybe you should be nicer about trade issues?
No, it would have made no difference. He's just focused on this one thing. Have you got a surplus with us or not for the smaller countries?
Yeah.
And there was no space left for this idea of negotiating with 200 countries all at the same time. I mean, it's just literally impossible. So, no, there was never a different base that could have escaped this. The real question is, Sean, is this all there is? And the answer is no. There's still other things coming down the pike, not specifically aimed at us. They're called Section 232 tariffs. These are emergency powers that the president has to impose much higher tariffs than 15% on anything that he considers to be a security threat to the United States.
What
Now,
could we
this is not
export there that
theoretic.
would possibly be a security threat to the United States?
Right up to and including lamb chops, mate.
What?
I'm serious.
Explain
So
that to me. Explain that to us, Tim. Come on.
Yeah. Well, that's the point. You can't. No, let me be clear about this. There isn't. We are already subject to those tariffs from the first Trump presidency when I was up there as ambassador on steel and aluminium. And you could hardly argue that the Australian-owned exports of tiny amounts of aluminium and steel that come out of our two Australian-owned companies constitute a security threat to the United States. But that's exactly what they said. On lamb, the only reason I mention that is because absurdly, one protectionist sheep farmers lobby in the United States is urging the president to take emergency tariffs on lamb coming into the United States from Australia.
Okay, and we're already well discriminated against in terms of dairy products. The cheese lobby's bloody big. The dairy lobby is bloody big in the United States. Tim, doesn't this also represent opportunity in that new opportunities will emerge as the US alienates and I guess restricts trade in and out of its country? Do we look for opportunities elsewhere?
Well, I find it hard to look at this in anything other than negative terms.
Wow.
Although I think many of our exporters will be able to pass on these tariff increases. The thing that we need to remember, Sean, is that the United States is our second largest export market. It passed Australia, I think, a couple of years ago, and it's growing very rapidly, or had been growing very rapidly, which was fantastic news for a whole bunch of New Zealand companies and the people that work for them. So that's taken a real hit. But the one sense in which you are on the money is that precisely because of 50 years of sustained effort by Labour-led and national-led governments on a bipartisan basis to get these alternative trade agreements in place. And the latest ones being the one with the UK, UAE, but all the TPP countries. This gives us a plan B. This is our insurance policy. And frankly, Sean, it's about time to cash it in, I think.
Wow. Look, I think you make a really good point there too, Tim. Our trade policy has been bipartisan. God, it's one of the few things in this country that is still, to my mind, essentially bipartisan policy. I've been overseas with prime ministers over many years, and a real understanding when MPs from other parties or the opposition came along, when we're out there selling New Zealand to the world, we are kind of united. It's a very, very important, I don't know if it's unique to New Zealand, but it always seemed to me to be a rather heartwarming and productive way to approach our relations and our trade relations.
Well, I couldn't agree more. And without that, given the lack of leverage our small country has, we would never have been able to sustain the effort to do this. I just mentioned, if you're interested, there's another thing I'm working on, which is absolutely requiring bipartisan support, and I'm sure we will get it. And that's my work as the chairman of the advisory group on supercritical geothermal energy. So this is a completely different topic. I'm happy to come and talk about it some other time. But this is a 25-year project, and we will need the same consistency of policy to exploit it.
So, Tim, what do we do in the meantime? We try and make a small target so that when he gets out of the bed on the wrong side, New Zealand isn't top of Mr. Trump's head?